Welcome back to Triplecast, episode number 15, as we wrap up our trilogy on the Alien franchise with Alien Resurrection. I think we're going to have differing opinions on this one. Might make for an interesting conversation. Stick around and find out. Hello there, Clint.
Hello, Daryl.
I always wonder how you're going to respond to my greeting of you joining this podcast.
I try and respond in a different way every time.
I know, and I'm like very pattern to a fault, you know. So it's like I feel like I say it the same way every time.
That's my goal.
But you know what? Do you listen to Mac OS Ken?
No.
I listen to him every day. And he is very dry sense of humor, very informative. It's a Mac news podcast, but he's got this cadence to him. And at the very end, it's all. I think he scripts it, and it's the same closing every day. Mm-hmm. And I can almost say it word for word with him because he's got that rhythm that he does it to every single time.
And you say that like it's a good thing.
I don't know if it's good or not. I'm just making an observation.
So you're basically saying his Mac is his Mac, and he's a PC.
No, I'm not saying that. I would never accuse him of being a PC.
That's what it sounds like
he
you're
might
saying.
Hunt me down and hit me.
He might what you down?
Hunt me down.
Oh, that's not what I thought you said.
So you're doing okay today?
I'm doing fantastic this evening.
Yes. I'm looking forward to doing this podcast. I mentioned in the teaser there that I don't think we're going to have like drastically different opinions about this. You're nodding yes.
Did you like this movie?
I did.
Okay, then yes, we are.
This is going to be good. I can't wait. So we're here talking about Alien Resurrection, as of today, the latest edition, the most recent Alien movie in the franchise. A week from the day we're recording this won't be the case. So
well, I don't think
by the time
you can
this
say
comes
that,
out,
right? Because we had Alien versus Predator.
Okay, you know what? Fine. That's fair. I act like those don't exist, in case you haven't picked up on that by now.
It's like the sixth season of Lost for me.
It's like Cousin Eddie. You kind of act like he's not there, but he does show up every once in a while, mostly on important days, and really embarrasses you when he does show up. So that's what I think about the Alien Predator movies.
And there's also Cowboys and Aliens, which of course is
not related at all.
Oh, are you sure?
Although there is the Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. Those aliens look similar to these.
What? I've never heard of that.
Oh. Shia LaBeouf was in that.
Ugh.
You ever heard of that guy?
It's my kryptonite.
Shia LaBeouf?
Ah!
Humperdinck. All right, well, let's get into it. Alien Resurrection, written by Joss Whedon. And I mentioned in our last podcast that I made it a point not to look up the directors or the writers of these films. I don't normally do that, but for this series I did, and I was pleasantly surprised to see Joss Whedon's name attached to this project. Directed by
Jean-Pierre Journet.
Thank you. I wouldn't have been that nice to him.
Who is, contrary to this movie, a fantastic director. He's done a lot of really good movies.
Okay.
Which we can talk about.
Yes, we will.
When we get to what happened next.
Okay. Of course, starring Sigourney Weaver, reprising her role as Ellen Ripley, Winona Ryder as Annalee Call, Dominic Pinion as Bryce. Is that the right way you would say that? Ron Perlman as Johnner, Gary Dourdan as Christy, Michael Wincott as Frank Elgin. You know, you didn't have to put every single actor in the movie in this little spreadsheet you did.
This is what we call cut and paste.
Mm-hmm. Kim Flowers as Sabrina, Dan Hedaya as General Martin Perez. I'm glad you did put that one in there. I've got a comment on him later.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. J.E. Freeman as Dr. Mason Wren, Brad Dourif as Dr. Jonathan Getteman, I guess. Raymond Cruz as Vincent, and Leland Orser as Larry Purvis. So that's the full cast for the movie.
That's true.
That's right. I'm going to make you read now.
Oh, man. The music was done by John Frizzell. I thought the music was okay for this movie.
I don't disagree with that. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely had its own. When you think of like Terminator, I can say Terminator or Superman or Star Wars.
Sure.
Or, a number of other movies. And the music, you can hear the music in your head, right?
Yes.
Alien franchise, not so much.
I thought the first one used music really well, but mostly because it was that horror film where I mentioned it, where it used the music to get you ready for something to jump out.
But if I said to me, sing the theme from the Alien franchise.
I couldn't do it.
Right.
No.
But if I said sing the theme from Star Wars, you could.
Bum, 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 bum.
That's the Death March, but.
Yes, I'm aware of that. Yeah.
Or Superman.
See, and that's what I just did there. I anticipated you saying Superman, and so I purposely did a Star Wars song. And then about halfway through my Death March, I realized you actually said Star Wars.
Yes.
And I realized my joke fell flat on its face.
Yes, because you're actually doing Star Wars.
Yes.
Anyways, the budget of this movie was slightly higher than the third one, $70 million.
Yeah.
No, it was only slightly higher. I think the third one was $63 million.
Oh, okay.
This was 70.
The second one that was $18 million.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually brought in more money than the third one at $161 million, not adjusted for inflation. Of course. And if you want to watch this movie, it's available on iTunes, Amazon with 48-hour rental, and Vudu.
I like the 48-hour rental from Amazon. On all three of these, I got them all from Amazon, and I didn't need the 48-hour, but it's nice to know it's there if you need it.
Yes, I also like the 48-hour rental. I do not like that it requires Flash Player to watch it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that either. We just went off air.
How did that happen?
I don't know. I'll pull up Ustream. I don't know. I'm going to refresh our chat room. Maybe we're not off air. It says we're off air. Chat room hasn't said anything yet.
There may not be anybody in the chat room.
There are a couple of people there.
Now
we're going to get a commercial.
You all day battery life.
I'll just mute that.
Oh, it does.
Gotta love that. All right. Okay, so let's continue on here with the with our thoughts on the plot. I guess is what we're ready for.
Do we need? You know what I did not do, Daryl?
What's that?
What did I not do? What did I not add to the list here?
Oh, the synopsis from IMDb.
Yes. How about I give it right now?
Okay.
Does that sound good?
That sounds good.
200 years after her death, Ellen Ripley is revived as a powerful human-alien hybrid clone who must continue her war against the aliens. And I also...
What was that?
That was me laughing at the plot.
I thought you were shooting something. No. All right.
Daryl, thoughts on the plot?
You know what? I think this is where we're going to have a lot of differences here. I thought the plot had a couple of holes in it, but I liked it a whole lot better than the last one.
Gaping holes.
Yeah.
In fact, more hole than there was substance.
No, I didn't think that at all. Because it made a whole lot of sense to me that the government, or what had been the company, which is now kind of, I don't know if it's morphed into, or the desires just now become a part of the government. But they have a desire to weaponize and monetize the alien. That's been there from the beginning. So it made sense to me that that someone could come up with this idea to get Ripley back to do something about that, because it kind of like the Jurassic Park thing. That's kind of where I put it. It was like, hey, we could go get some dino DNA and do something with that. But the big plot hole for me was it said that they got Ripley's blood from before she had the alien in her. So how does getting that blood and making a clone of her reproduce the alien inside of her that actually came out of her when she died in the last movie? That was a huge thing that I couldn't ever figure out.
Well, I think they got it actually after she had the alien in her stomach. This was the blood samples that Clement took in Alien 3.
Okay.
Trying to run some backgrounds on her. That was my understanding.
And that may be true. I wasn't sure where they got the blood from, what point in time they got the blood from, but either way, You get some blood from you, that's not going to recreate this alien embryo inside of you.
Unless the parasite tied into the bloodstream somehow, and now it's sharing blood cells. I agree. I think it's a dumb plot hole.
Okay.
I have an even bigger plot hole, which I'd like to discuss with you at this point.
Go right ahead.
Okay. In the last scene, we see the new queen.
Yes.
And we've got Dr. Jonathan Gettleman, who's been kept by the aliens, and he's, admiring his creation or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the gift that Ripley gave her, which was a uterus.
Right.
To give live birth. If the queen has a uterus and is giving live birth to this alien hybrid, where did all the eggs come from?
I never really thought about that. Yeah, you're right. Because there were a lot of eggs there at the end of the movie.
There were lots of eggs at the beginning of the movie that hatched and killed all the people.
Well, those I thought... Well, you're right, because the face hugger implants an embryo inside of you that just bursts out and becomes an alien. It doesn't come from an egg.
Right.
That's where the face huggers come from. I hadn't thought about that plot hole, Clint. That's a good point. My other plot hole that I thought was ridiculous.
It's like the whole movie doesn't happen because of that plot hole.
Yeah.
But anyways.
The other issue that I had with it was, in case of disaster, point the spaceship back to Earth. Bring the disaster back to Earth. Really? I don't think that should be on anyone's emergency plan. In case of utter disaster where only the ship can take over, point the ship back to Earth and bring the disaster there. That didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me either. I know that they had actually planned for a larger budget for this movie, and they had planned to have the last alien battle actually take place somewhere on Earth in a populated area, but they just ran out of money, and so they had to have it on the ship. Which I'm glad that the movie didn't last any longer. I'm glad they.
It was a relatively short film, an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, hour and 38 minutes too long, probably, by the time you got through the opening credits.
Wow, you feel as badly about this one as I did the previous one. I think
it was a not a good movie.
Huh.
There were good things about it.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll think of something in a second.
All right. Well, let me take over then. There was a lot I liked about it. I mean, aside from that I couldn't figure out really how the alien got inside of her, and you bring up some good points about the plot holes. I thought the acting was as good as we had seen since the first one, which, I had issues with the acting in the previous two. Charles S. Dutton aside. I loved, Ron Perlman. Come on. Who doesn't love Ron Perlman?
He was great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Winona Ryder, not bad. I think she's a good actress.
It was a little flat for me.
To me,
the performance, that is.
I understand what you're saying. That's what I expected out of her, though. But the moment I first saw her, I thought that she was going to be set up to be the new Ripley, this really just tough woman, and so it didn't bother me that she just was kind of just going through the motions there. That's kind of what I expected of her. Turned out she was an android, so when that happened, I was still okay with that. So I thought her performance was okay, given what I expected out of her character, and those were just my own expectations.
Sure.
So I felt like I had a pretty strong cast. I didn't have any people really getting on my nerves, waiting for them to die, like I did the Bill Paxton character back in the second movie.
Okay.
It still felt very formulaic, given what we had seen with the other Alien franchises.
Right. It was the exact same. We're all safe now. Oh wait, the alien made it onto the escape ship, so we got to send the alien out the airlock again.
Yes,
that they'd done in 2 of the 3 previous movies.
That was a little hard to swallow for the third time. They did it in a new creative way.
Oh, did they?
Well, in that the alien got sucked a little piece by piece out of it. And that Ripley got to use her alien blood. I liked that you never really knew where Ripley's allegiance lied. You didn't know if she was going to take the side of the alien and she was just duping the the scientists. I don't really think she was ever going to dupe the scientists because everyone wanted them to die. But you never really knew which side she was going to fall on, if she was really going to have it in her to kill the aliens again at the end of the movie. So I liked the suspense that brought. And I also liked, again, thinking about Jurassic Park a little bit here, you had the scientist taunting the aliens when they were in that chamber, hitting them with the I don't know what
gas
that would freeze him, and you got to see those aliens studying him, and the one alien, made the decision to kill the other aliens and use their blood as acid to escape. So you got to really see how intelligent these creatures are, and that they're free thinking. And that was a new side of the aliens that we had never got to see before. We got to see them swimming and using their tails a lot more than we had seen before.
Right.
So I liked all of those things. I thought there was some new things that were brought into it that were very refreshing in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I don't agree with any of that. I think it was neat to see, in this movie, bring back the multiple aliens, to see them kill that one, and then use the acid to break through out of their little chambers. That was kind of neat. The swimming thing, really unrealistic as far as the breathing goes.
Oh, totally.
All the rest of that.
Yes.
The fact that they came up in the egg room, even though Queen couldn't lay eggs because she had a uterus. Anyways, the human alien hybrid that came out with the drippy nose cartilage, ugly thing was dumb.
Okay.
It was dumb. The thing that made the alien scary, that one was just gross.
Which one are you talking about?
The human alien hybrid.
Oh.
At the end, where it goes and crushes the head, and it thinks that Ripley's its mommy. It was just terrible to me. The creepiest scene was where Ripley kind of just falls down and she's in all the alien goo and just kind of floating around, and then meets her baby that came out of her, that's part of her. It was terrible for me, just for me.
Wow. Okay. And I mentioned in the last podcast that I was glad that it didn't, the franchise didn't end the Ripley story. I felt like the Ripley character had resolution, but I thought that movie was terrible, Alien 3. I was glad to see this movie. I thought it was much, much better than Alien 3 and left the franchise in a much better taste in my mouth than Alien 3 did.
Yeah, not at all for me. And even the way that they brought back Ripley was like, to me, it left a bad taste in my mouth. It felt very commercial. It felt like they were trying to milk the cash cow.
I don't think there's any question about that. And I did a little research on this movie as well. And Joss was pretty disappointed with what they did with his script. I read a quote from him where he basically said, "Yes, what you see in the movie is exactly my script, except for the ending. I think he wrote 5 different endings for it, all of them taking place with this epic battle on Earth that you talked about, and they got cut out of the film. But aside from that, it's basically his script. But to put it succinctly, I think it would be fair to say he feels like they put the emphasis on the wrong syllable in every way that they could. And so, yes, they said the right words, and they did the right scenes, and did everything that was in his script, but didn't carry forth his vision at any point in the movie. He was pretty disappointed with the result of the movie.
Yeah.
So I think he would feel largely the same way you do, I guess, is where I was trying to go with that. Now, I mentioned earlier in the podcast that there were a couple of things that I was making my notes, and I remember writing at one point that the Ripley character in this movie reminded me of River Tam. She is like kicking butt, taking names. She's superhuman. We learned that pretty early on, and I was like, man, this reminds me of another sci-fi, action star that I've seen.
It did.
And then later on, we see them playing basketball down there, and I was like, man, that reminds me of Firefly too. And I just those were the two things that stuck out the most. I'm sure that you could, if I watched it again and was really trying to find Joss Whedon things, I would find more. But remember, I didn't know at this point that he had anything to do with this film. I was like, man, those are cool. Those remind me of Firefly. So that was kind of cool when I noticed those things and then turned around and he had his fingerprints on the movie.
Yeah, and I think Ripley's character in this movie, I think, was much cooler in this movie than the rest. Ripley destroying the alien creature things, the genetic things, was at least an interesting scene. In typical Joss Whedon fashion, good ensemble cast, I think, that really worked well together.
Uh-huh.
There wasn't anybody that you really, other than the scientists, that you really said, oh man, glad to see them gone, like you did with Alien 2.
Right.
Or even the third one. You really felt a much better connection to these characters. I think much more so than the other movies, and that made the Alien scene much more intense,
Yes.
when they lost somebody.
That's exactly right. It sure did. And when we lost people in this case, you knew they were going to die. That's what their purpose in the movie is, right? They're all red shirts, but it definitely was better. And I felt like the camaraderie between I think their ship was called Betty, or the Betty, the Winona Ryder group, the Ron Perlman group, the mercenaries or whatever they were. I don't know what they were, but they seem to have a camaraderie between them that the Marine group in Alien 2, or Aliens rather, didn't have. I think they tried to force that in Aliens 2. Aliens, forgive me.
Yeah.
When they're all sitting around the dinner table, eating and joking around, very similar to what we saw in Alien. It worked, I felt like, in Alien.
Right.
And then you have the android. Was it Bishop in Aliens? Was he the android?
Yeah.
And he comes and does the knife thing between the fingers
Yeah.
of Bill Paxton's character. That didn't work for me at all. It all felt forced and just didn't work for me. Here, I felt like they really did have a better relationship with each other, a better connection, a more legitimate connection. So again, the casting and the acting for me worked a lot better in this one than any of them except for Alien. Alien to me is still the best of the franchise.
Yeah, I think the casting and the acting worked well, but I keep going back to the script or the plot, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
As far as even the direction, I thought was pretty good. The way that they shot the scenes and cut the scenes, you really got a feel for the size of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
You got a feel for the kind of three groups. There's the aliens, there's the mercenaries, and then there's the people that live on the ship. And almost like this triangle of people. But, I just couldn't get over the plot holes, and I couldn't get over how ugly and terrible and creepy the last scene was, and not in a good way.
Okay. Well, I'm going to disagree, but I think we made that clear. Yeah. One other thing I'll mention that I thought was interesting is that in the first Alien movie, the ship was referred to as Mother, and in this one, it was referred to as Father.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool. I don't know if there's any significance there, but I thought it was maybe at least a nod, to the first movie.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts here on the style or anything? I don't know that I have gone through all my notes here. I mentioned all my Firefly stuff. Oh, the CG was much, much better in this film. Now, when was this one made? Was
97.
97?
Yeah.
And the previous one was
92.
So only 5 years difference. The comment I made in our podcast about Alien 3 was that the technology wasn't quite ready for what they tried to use it for.
That's right.
You could still tell that it was fakey in this movie, but it wasn't just terrible fakey like it was in the last movie. I thought it worked pretty well here.
There's a level where, you look at a movie like The Avengers, and it's fake, but it's done so well that you can't tell what's been added by computer and what hasn't.
Right.
And then you've got things like we talked about last summer with the Philadelphia experiment.
I thought you were going there, yes.
Or even some of the CG in Terminator.
Uh-huh.
And then, there's this transition period, but kind of between those two bookends in the in the early and mid 90s. And then you had movies that were just fantastic, like Jurassic Park, Terminator 2, that did really good with their computer generated special effects. And then you've got movies like Aliens, or Alien 3 rather.
Right.
And several other movies that didn't really cut the mustard. By the time you get to 1997 and you think about The Matrix,
right,
that came out 2 years later,
2 years later, 99, yeah.
I mean, that technology has matured to a place where it's no longer distracting. And by the early O's, unless you're on like the lowest sci-fi channel movie of the week budget, all of that has gotten to a point where it's not only not distracting, but it's also
complementary,
perfectly blended in where you can't see the difference.
Yeah, definitely. It's and that's kind of cool to see how different movies have embraced technology. We've always kind of fallen on the side of puppets and animatronics are better if the technology's not there. I don't know another way to say it.
That's right.
And George Lucas did that with the Star Wars, and that's what we saw in the first Alien movie. They used small-scale replications, not replicants, models,
yeah.
and cameras to get the job done with most of that stuff. And then for the Alien, they used puppets and things
Rubber
on the sticks.
suits, yeah,
and it worked really well.
Yeah.
So I would like to have seen them done that in Alien 3. We've hashed that through already. This one was much better. I was okay with it.
I think they did a much better job with the effects. In this movie.
Yeah, and that was a situation where I felt like the water scene worked. The holding the breath was totally unrealistic, completely way too long. But as far as the alien interaction in the water scene, I thought the CG in that and everything worked really, really well.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've got all my notes out here on this. Do you have anything left there on the directing and the style?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Other thoughts on this one? I thought this was really pretty cool. I don't know if you've ever done any studying on biblical numerology. I've done just the symbols full of it, enough to know that when her number was 8 on her arm, that I needed to go look that up, because as I remembered, 8 was the number of like new beginnings.
Yeah,
and it was alien resurrection, so I was like, I need to go look that up.
7 is perfection. 8 is one beyond perfection, right?
Right. Yeah. So I looked it up, and I got this. I didn't write down the website. I should have. 8 is 7 plus 1, just like you said. As a participle, it means one who abounds in strength. Well, that definitely applied to the Ripley character in this one. She was superhuman with her strength. As a noun, it means superabundant fertility. Well, that applies to her as well, being really the mother of this new alien hybrid that came out. Hence, it is the number specifically associated with resurrection and regeneration and the beginning of a new era or order. So I think they did that completely intentional, and I thought it tied in perfectly with the movie there.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I thought the movie, the only note I have here is that it was a terrible movie.
You do have that.
Terrible, terrible, terrible.
Yeah.
That's my only note.
Okay. My only other note, so that we don't end on that. General Perez, I teased earlier that I had a comment on him. Did you see how freaking hairy his shoulders were?
He had some major shoulder hair.
Oh my goodness, I've never seen anything like that. He needs like some shampoo for those shoulder muffs.
That was gross. He just needs an alien to spit and have acid just burn it away.
There you go. Oh man, it was pretty gross. I was glad to see him put a shirt on and die. All right. Anything else, Clint?
No, I know you mentioned that you're really glad that the Alien trilogy did not end with Alien 3, and I'm really disappointed that I didn't end with Alien 3.
That's funny.
What they went on with this movie.
I'm actually glad we have differing opinions.
Yeah, me too.
This.
It makes it more fun to talk about.
It sure does.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go into what happened next. There's a lot of actors, actresses. We've already talked about Sigourney Weaver to death.
Yeah. Ron Perlman, gosh, he's done so many. He did the Beauty and the Beast television show. I'm going off the top of my head here. Of course, he's for me most known as Hellboy.
Yeah,
I love him in the Hellboy movies.
Yeah, he was also in Hellboy 2.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a movie called Kronos, which was done by the same director. What's his name? Did Pan's Labyrinth. Help me out.
It's right on the tip of my tongue. I'm going to look it up.
not Sam Mendes. It's I want to say Benicio del Toro. That's not right either. It's
Which movie are you talking about now?
Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy. Why can't I think of his name?
Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing.
Guillermo del Toro. That's why I couldn't think of it.
Okay.
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, what else has he been in? So many things. I'm just trying to find ones that really stick out to me. Oh, I didn't know this. He was in the new Conan the Barbarian movie.
Did not know that.
Yeah, Sons of Anarchy. I don't know how I forgot about that.
Yeah.
The TV series. Yeah.
Of course, lots of big name actors. Brad Dourif, who was in our favorite show Fringe, season 3 finale. He's also been in Lord of the Rings, Two Towers. He was in Dune. Probably most famously known for his role in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He's also in Mississippi Burning. He's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Winona Ryder. She didn't quite steal the show for me in this particular movie, but she has been in and out of court rooms throughout the years. Come on, you got to give me credit for one of those puns.
But ching.
But no, seriously, she's been in Beetlejuice. Remember when she was back in?
I do remember that.
I'm trying to find her.
Edward Scissorhands. She's been in a lot of Tim Burton movies.
She has, and I think she does great in roles like that. She was in Mr. Deeds.
It's true, she was. She was also in. Was it Moonstruck?
Yes, I believe she was.
Cher.
Let me go back down here. Mermaids.
Mermaids. That's the one I was thinking of with Cher.
Yeah, that was Moonstruck had. Was it Glenn Close that was in that?
I don't remember.
Yeah, don't get me trying to make this stuff up.
Lots of actors, of course. Gary Dourdan, sorry, is probably most known for his role on CSI. Raymond Cruz been in a lot of things. He was in The Rock, was in Clear and Present Danger, and a bunch of other movies. Leland Orster went on to do The Bone Collector.
Oh.
And was also in, previous to this, was in the movie Seven.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Let me look him up. Get a better look at his face. Who was he in Seven?
He had a bit role in that movie. He was the guy that was in the lust scene.
That was going to be my guess.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember that. Okay.
And he's been in a lot of lots and lots of other stuff. He's a character actor that does a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a movie called Very Bad Things with Christian Slater. Another famous role for him. Director Jean-Pierre Jeunet is obviously a French actor or French director rather. He's done a lot of movies. Most famously, he's known for his French movies, Delicatessen,
right.
Amélie, which is an excellent movie. I think it won a bunch of awards. And then another movie with the same star from Amélie called A Very Long Engagement, which I really think is an excellent movie. It's one of my favorites.
And finally, Joss Whedon.
Avengers.
Avengers is his latest deal. Although, just right before that, in theaters at the same time, was Cabin in the Woods.
Right. Which I didn't see. Did you see it?
I haven't seen that. I've heard really good things about it. A lot of his stuff, he's really getting more popular in the movies now. A big legacy of TV. We mentioned Firefly, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
I don't think he did.
No, I always say that. It's
Dollhouse.
Not him. Yes, Dollhouse.
Yeah.
Angel was his.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many good things for him.
He's done a lot. So that's what happened next for those people. Same vein, other alien movies.
Okay.
All right. And now it's time for.
It's now time for Name That. Can I please
movie.
retire this music? Please.
All right. I think after this season, you can retire it.
After this season?
Yes.
When do our seasons end?
This never has an end.
No.
This is the 2010 decades.
Great. We're locked into it forever. All right. Well, when we last did Name That Movie, we had you with Freaky Friday.
Yes.
With Lindsay Lohan. So Lindsay also appeared in the 2006 film.
Mean Girls.
No.
Okay.
Bobby.
Bobby.
Okay.
Okay.
With.
Sharon Stone.
She was not a main character, nor was this person.
Oh, man. I'm trying to remember who all was in that.
Another guy, roughly about her age.
Elijah Wood.
Nope.
Was he in that? I don't remember.
Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, gosh.
I couldn't believe you reacted that way earlier because I knew I was coming around to this. Okay, so Shia is we're going down the road with Shia here, my friend. He's best known for his role in the Transformer movies. Right?
I may not be able to answer this on moral grounds.
Nice. Well, okay, so he was in Transformers, but they weren't his first leading role. And I don't know that this movie I'm looking for was his first either, but it did come before Transformers, and he had a leading role.
Oh, man. He's like the Steve Guttenberg of the O's.
You probably are right about that. Steve Guttenberg in the 80s, probably. Yes. Okay. This is a 2007 film that he starred in, had the lead role. It was a film about a nosy neighbor.
Disturbia.
Disturbia is correct. See, you did it. You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here were my. I was afraid that would be too close. They're too easy. I never know. I never know if you're going to get it or not. All right. This movie also starred Carrie Ann Moss.
Right. As the mom.
Yep. It also had Sarah Raymer.
Yeah. That's right. I remember that.
And this movie is a serial killer murder mystery.
With David... What is his name? It's not David Cross. The actor that played the bad guy.
Played the serial killer.
David Morse is his name.
Okay. So this movie is Disturbia. Now let me ask you this, Clint.
I hope we're not doing a Triplecast on Shia LaBeouf movies.
We are not.
Okay, thank you. It is David Morse.
Okay.
Who was also the bad guy in 12 Monkeys.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's funny how it all comes back around.
That was a good movie. I enjoyed doing that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. Disturbia is not a remake, but it is inspired by a particular movie. Do you know what movie that would be?
I would say it's probably inspired by Rear Window.
That's correct.
By Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah. It's not a direct, like I said, it's not really a direct remake, although you can see a lot of similarities there.
Right.
Our next Triplecast is going to be Alfred Hitchcock movies.
No way.
Yes.
Awesome.
Isn't this going to be awesome?
Yeah, I love Alfred Hitchcock movies.
I do too.
Of course, who doesn't, right?
I know. I have not narrowed this down to 3 yet. We're going to do it right here. We're going to narrow it down to 3.
Okay.
I have narrowed it down to like 8. It's hard to narrow it down. He's got so many.
So do I get to pick my favorite, or do we want to pick the best?
I don't know. Let's just figure it out.
We could do like 3 Triplecasts on.
We could. We literally could. Here's what I have so far. I have The Birds.
Okay.
Psycho. Rear Window. Vertigo. The Man Who Knew Too Much. To Catch a Thief. Strangers on a Train. Dial M for Murder. And North by Northwest. So that's, I guess that's 9 that I've narrowed it down to.
Okay.
So is one of those jumping out to you that you'd like to do?
Man, I really like all of those. I definitely have a favorite 3.
Okay.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to do all 3 of those. We could do Cary Grant, Alfred Hitchcock movies. That'd be a good way to eliminate it.
Okay, we could. So that would give us Strangers on a Train, The Man Who Knew Too Much, and Rear Window?
It would give us North by Northwest, The Man Who Knew Too Much. You could do... he wasn't in... It was Jimmy Stewart that was in there.
You're right.
He was in Catch a Thief.
Uh-huh.
He's also in Charade, which is another good movie.
Yes. So we've got To Catch a Thief, North by Northwest, The Man Who Knew Too Much. What else?
That would be our our Triplecast. He was he in the Birds? He was in the Birds, wasn't he?
I don't know who was in the Birds. I've only seen part of the Birds, believe it or not.
What?
I know.
Who's the male lead in the Birds? Rod Taylor. So he was not in the Birds. Of course, Anthony Perkins was in Psycho. Strangers on a Train. I don't recognize the actors in that. Island for Murder. Again, same story. Jimmy Stewart was in Vertigo and Rear Window.
Right.
So we could do I think we should do a Cary Grant.
A Cary Grant.
Alfred
So we're going to
Hitchcock
do The
team-up.
Man Who Knew Too Much. I'm going to color code these here. Because we'll come back and do another series of these. So we're going to do The Man Who Knew Too Much.
North by
Northwest. And Strangers on a
We
Train.
can do that, or Charade, which I'm pretty sure was an Alfred Hitchcock movie, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. I think I'd vote for Strangers on a Train.
I don't think he was in that movie.
Oh, I thought you said he was.
No, he was in To Catch a Thief.
Okay. I'd still rather do that than Charade.
Okay.
Unless you feel really strongly about Charade.
Nope, I don't, because it was not an Alfred Hitchcock movie.
It wasn't.
Nope. I just thought it was, but it's not.
Oh, man, I went through that list like twice. It really rang a bell with me. Okay. So that settles it. We're going to do Alfred Hitchcock movies, To Catch a Thief, North by Northwest, and The Man Who Knew Too Much. I think those are great choices.
I think they are too.
And that still leaves Rear Window, Psycho, and The Birds, which are probably his three most known, although Dial M for Murder and Vertigo are up there too, that we still have available for our other triple casts
Right.
at some point down the road.
I think Psycho probably is the most well-known.
Definitely. I would think so.
I think the Vertigo is his highest-rated movie. I'm not
Is that
100% on that.
Okay. Man, I love Alfred Hitchcock stuff. I think this is going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
And this will be our first trip back to the black and white era, so I'm excited about that too.
That's right. So let me see. The first Alfred Hitchcock movie on the list is Rear Window.
Okay.
On the IMDb 250.
Okay.
Followed by Psycho at 29. So I was way off.
Wow. I would have thought
Now-
Psycho was the most popular there.
Yeah. It considered his best. Roger Ebert considers Vertigo
Better.
Hitchcock's best, but
Okay.
that doesn't necessarily mean anything, right?
Yep. So this is
Cool.
going to be fun. Now, I don't know when we're going to do this because of the summer schedule that we're on right now, but we've got some time anyway. So but that'll be the next series that we do. Will be the Alfred Hitchcock series, To Catch a Thief, North by Northwest, and The Man Who Knew Too Much.
Very good.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. As far as contact information, if you want to send us your suggestions for what we can do for the Triplecast, or if you want to send us feedback, you can email us at feedback@goldenspiralmedia.com, or give us a call on the Golden Spiral Media voice feedback line at 304-837-2278.
That's 304-837-2278. Please call us at any time regarding your feedback for this or other Triplecasts. We'd also like to let you know about our Facebook web page thingy at facebook.com/Golden Spiral Media. You're welcome to poke us or like us or friend us or any of the other stuff that you do on that thing that I don't know anything about. You can also find us at our own personal website at goldenspiralmedia.com. If you have a modern browser, you don't even have to put in that HTTP stuff at the front.
That's right. I'm still hanging on to Internet Explorer 6
Yes.
because they don't make Internet Explorer for the Mac anymore.
That's true. They don't.
That's all I can use.
Not that you would need it.
That's the only browser option, isn't it?
Yeah, Internet Explorer, that's how you get to the internet.
Of course. That's
How
how
you
you explore it.
It's ridiculous. All right.
All right. Anything else?
I think that's it. We better get out of here
I
before
think
we
we
lose
should.
our minds.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us for this edition of the Triplecast. And until next time, Trianara.
And keep it rolling.
Triplecast is a production of Golden Spiral Media. Intro and outro music provided by Kevin MacLeod. Incompetech.com. For more information about this or other Golden Spiral Media podcasts, visit goldenspiralmedia.com. Copyright 2012, Golden Spiral Media.